Well, welcome to the courtroom of Judge Judy.
Cool.
I know, she is great. Did I ever tell you about the time when I was in undergrad and I had to sue my roommates for overpaid rent and Judge Judy picked up the
No.
case? Well, so that's like for another
Wait, did you meet Judge Judy?
okay, it's a really tragic story.
I
Um
know, honestly, everything you said was so sad, but all I focused on was, did you meet Judge Judy?
No, but that's like the tragedy of the whole situation is that I never got to meet Judge Judy. I'll start at the end because, and I can talk about like the this experience, like everything else. Well, yeah, I could talk about this experience in more depth, but let me start at the end and then we'll work backwards and tell you why I brought you in Judge Judy's courtroom.
Okay.
So I overpaid 2 months worth of rent. So um how how am I gonna and this is why this is 100% why the producers were like Judge Judy they picked up the show but then like a week before we were scheduled to film they canceled and because they couldn't figure out how to tell the story in like a succinct like 15-minute segment which is
Um,
exactly what I'm trying to do is like how do I say this in a very succinct
you're
way.
like, how do I prove to Judge Judy that I could have?
Yeah, I could have, I promise, it's like so easy
This is
but
like your second
yeah.
chance theater.
I'm just like proving your point. Before undergrad, I went to school at the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in downtown Los Angeles. And I am so grateful that my parents let me do that because one, it wasn't a church school. Two, Los Angeles, I mean, it's like a 2 day drive to Colorado.
Uh-huh.
Uh, so it's not like I would have to fly. So yeah, I'd have to fly, but also it just was a very formative experience and time for me. Because I didn't know anyone moving out there, I decided to go through student housing of the college to be able to like have roommates and just meet people. And I got a bedroom because this is a very expensive school. And living in a downtown area, especially because I didn't have a car, I didn't want to pay for insurance and all of the expenses that came with cars because I couldn't afford it because I was literally a broke college student. Uh,
Yeah.
the that was funding myself on student loans, and I didn't want to do like get more loans. Anyway, I got a shared room with three other people. So it was a 2 bedroom, but four people lived in the apartment. This is the main reason why I'm bringing it up is because you know how a few episodes ago I was talking about how there are certain mental models that show up again and again, depending on different contexts and depending on different environments. This is one
Mhm.
of those mental models. So, what were you
Yeah.
gonna say?
I was gonna say, oh, yeah, it was the car episode,
Yeah, it
right?
was the car episode. Yes, it was the car episode. So this mental model that I have is around people pleasing, and that if people want you to act a certain way because it's extremely beneficial for them or makes their lives easier, but it's not a good fit for me, um, and would kind of put me out, I would, in order to keep the peace and to like make the other person like me because I had the rejection sensitivity dysphoria like so strongly that I would just be like, oh, whatever, I'll just go with your plan. And that this is like the first kind of really big experience where I was like, ah, this is why I should not do this. So we they found out that if we didn't go through student housing, we would save probably like $1,000, $250 a month, essentially, on rent per person. And that if we just got our own apartment complex, had a lease at one of the surrounding apartments, that we would save a lot of money. We already had four people. We all had like pretty good credit and co-signers, so why not try it? So I had like the worst feeling about that. And just like one, because living in student housing, there were definitely more strict rules that you would have to follow, right? Like you couldn't necessarily have any parties, even though like, and keep in mind, these were girls at a fashion school in like Los Angeles, who the first weekend they were at school, they all went out and got fake IDs. But in my mind, I was like, I don't have $150 to make to pay for a fake ID. Also, their fake IDs were so bad. I was like, I'm like, I could do a better job.
Yeah, they're like, this is just like a sunk cost because there's no way these are going to get you anywhere.
Yes,
You're gonna like get
100%.
confiscated so fast.
Yes, and
Yeah.
yes, and I was like, well, give me your money. Like
Yeah.
maybe this is like my new
How
side
about for
gig.
$150, I do it better.
Yes, yes, it will look way more legit.
Mhm.
So I think one, they wanted to get out of the student housing so they weren't bound by those student housing rules, and we didn't have like a dorm person coming and like doing apartment inspections and like uh them coming and like shutting down parties or whatever. So I had a bad feeling about it. One, because I'm not a partier. Two, I've never really been interested in alcohol or drugs, primarily because of the religion we grew up in, but also because I have like a very deep seated fear of not being able to remember like what you do. Like in my mind, it still doesn't make logical sense for me of like, why would you want to get to a point to where you can't remember things? And like, because I haven't dabbled in drugs or alcohol, like I don't know my like limits, my thresholds. Like I don't know if one drink's gonna get me rip shit drunk or if it's gonna be like 20 drinks. Who knows? And I
Yeah,
just,
there's all that. I like, and then there's just like, because I also think like if it's not something that you did in high school or had any exposure to really when a lot of kids are getting into it,
yeah,
or kids who especially want a fake ID so they can keep doing stuff like that.
yeah,
Um, there is just they've already worked through a lot of the learning curve of what is my limit. And then also you're just coming into it like, I don't have any data on this. And now
yeah,
I'm supposed to trust you guys, but I barely know you. So how
yeah,
can I trust that you're going to show up for me, especially if you might not even like, you might be too like drunk or high to even like clock me anymore. So
yeah.
like, it's like the level of trust that would have been required is pretty high.
It
And I
is.
totally get what you mean too. Like, besides not being able to remember, I just don't like not feeling in control of my body. And
Yeah, that
so
too.
that's also something that I'm like, oh, that doesn't appeal to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Also
Mhm.
waking up and feeling like shit the next day, like that just like doesn't feel very appealing. Like I've always really loved like waking up early and going on runs or doing some sort of physical exercise or just like being able to get out of bed and just go and not be like, oh man, I really feel like shit. So that's
Yeah.
also something that's like stopped me from doing drugs or dabbling with like alcohol too. Um,
Yeah.
but the so I was like not feeling great about it, and they convinced me that we should do it primarily because it would just be a pain in the ass for them to find another roommate. So I signed a lease with them. The roommates, of course, went wild. One of my roommates, she was from Southern California. We'll call her Ghost, primarily because anytime that it got really crazy, she would just like go home to Ventura, and like escape. And
It goes to you. Yeah, it totally makes sense.
she just like was never there. And then the other one, we'll call her Louis Vuitton, or nose job, because she was from Portland, Oregon. Her dad was a lawyer, and for her 16th birthday, she had a nose job. She drove a Mercedes Benz, had a Louis Vuitton purse, like Louis Vuitton sunglasses, like everything was designer. Money was no object.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did she act like did she even need to be there? Was she really interested, or was she just kind of checking it off her list?
I think it was like checking it off her list. Like she didn't want to get married yet, and she wanted to have the college experience, but she didn't want to be constrained by like doing something boring. Like it was very like image based, I think, for her.
Yeah.
She's also the roommate because she grew up in Portland, Oregon, where you don't pump your own gas. I had to teach
Mhm.
her how to pump gas. So that was like very strange and unusual. And that was before my parents actually lived in Portland, Oregon. So I wasn't familiar with like, no, it's actually legitimately a thing. It's not just in like
Yeah.
wealthy neighborhoods. Um, so that we'll call her nose job. So this also nose job, she was probably the most conventionally attractive of the four of us, and she was very smart and calculated when it came to making relationships that were like would benefit her. So
Mhm.
of course, she immediately got into a relationship, became boyfriend girlfriend with a club promoter who uh
Was
who
he the hookup to the IDs?
no, this was they got the IDs way before they met him, but
Okay.
because he was the club promoter and the IDs weren't like, well, in Los Angeles too, like if you were attractive enough and like dressed a specific way, they would let you in. Like the promoters would just let you in because like
I've heard,
it's
yeah, I was gonna say it can be pretty superficial. I've had some other friends who from the LA area, and that was often what they would tell me too. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
unfortunately. Yeah. I never went out with them. One, because they would like stay out until like 4 a.m. and that just seemed like my hell. And because like I'm just not interested in what
Yeah.
they were doing. I mean I have since been to like several clubs and like I love that scene. Like I love house music. I love like a specific type of club, but still doing it all sober, which
Yeah.
they were not. The nose job and her boyfriend though, they ended up after like maybe a year later, they ended up on MTV's True Life, I Don't Trust My Partner. Um, so that was like very entertaining.
You know what? I gotta say, so far this story has two connections to reality TV. I love this. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Fashion Institute. Yeah. Lauren Conrad.
I was gonna say Judge Judy. Oh, I didn't even think of like Conrad went to the Fashion Institute. I was just thinking Judge Judy was
Yes.
going to maybe show this.
Yes.
One of the roommates that was a part of this
Yeah.
situation ended up as a reality, like on a reality show on MTV. And
She
then,
certainly
oh
did.
yeah, I guess Lauren Conrad, you said also went
From the
here.
Hills. Yeah, I never took classes with her,
You
but
were there at the same time, though. Look at
yeah, I
that.
was there at the same time. Also, did you ever watch
Connection.
Project Runway?
No, but I know what it is.
So one of the earlier seasons, Nick Varios, did you ever see him? He was on the
Yeah.
same season as like Santino.
I'm gonna look it up. Mhm.
I think it was like season 2 or 3, but I took a class from him. I took like a drafting, like a pattern draping class from him, and it was great. He was just so nice and like just
Okay.
very just like
He like is he wears in his internet presence, he has a lot of very dapper suits on.
yes, 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 yes.
Yeah.
He would wear those suits to class.
So,
I yeah, Nick Barrios. But he was just like the nicest guy. He would always wear like those suits. He super skilled and talented at what he does. He's like a draping. He's
yeah,
just
well, I say I can tell from his pictures he's very put together and he has a very good like aesthetic sense.
yeah, and he's also like very business. But so I loved like learning from him. And he is like a master at like fabric draping. So I feel like I learned so much from him. Uh,
That's
but anyway, back to Nose Job. So
mhm.
Nose Job's club promoter boyfriend ended up becoming the drug dealer for the girl that I have shared a room with. We'll call her we'll call her OKC because she was from Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Um, she she was a very interesting character. I had a lot of sympathy and pity for her, primarily because she was also very conventionally attractive. She was a runner. She would run 6 miles a day. She was always on a juice cleanse. I mean, but not like an actual juice cleanse. It was like the cayenne pepper lemon juice, lemon water
Like
cleanse.
water, yeah, lemon water, but cayenne juice kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And then she would also like binge eat when she wasn't on this juice cleanse. So
So she
And
really just had an eating disorder,
she
is what
had an
I'm
eating disorder and
yes,
a
like
lot of like
bulimia. Yeah.
probably body dysmorphia. She
Yeah.
also was, her parents were going through a really nasty divorce. Her mom ended up cheating on her dad, and they were separating, and her younger brother was at home. And I just felt I felt bad for her. Like I felt like I really pitied her and her situation and like what she was going through. I didn't know how to help her. So I would like, if she ever wanted to go anywhere or do anything, I would be like, yeah, for sure. Cause one thing that I've always been very aware of, especially because of like having some like pretty traumatic things happen when I was younger, is just like what it's like to feel so freaking alone, especially when you're navigating some like really complicated, like heavy, emotionally charged situations and family dynamics.
Yeah.
So I would go with her everywhere. She, I don't even know like what kind of stories to tell about her. She was just a very interesting girl. Um she ended up one morning waking up with like blisters all over her mouth,
Oh
which
my
ended
God.
up being herpes because
I was
she
gonna say STI herpes or just like a herpes simplex.
like STI herpes,
Oh God.
which it just looks so freaking painful. And she was like so ashamed and like embarrassed of it. And so, like, and she also drove like a red Mustang at the time that was like a convertible. And like, she also had access to money. So she also had designer things as well. And Image, she was like very blonde. Like, Image was very important to her.
Yeah.
So I like accompanied her to the doctor, and the doctor was like, yes, it's definitely is like an STI herpes type of a thing. And then another time, like I woke up, luckily I'm a deep sleeper because I think these girls were doing some wild things at night.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah, but one morning I woke up and like went to our bathroom, and there was just like a white powder all over our kitchen, like our bathroom sink, and it was just, I think it was cocaine.
Unless it
What?
was a cocaine, because
Yeah, it
like
was
it,
cocaine.
it
And
probably I was gonna say if it were the kitchen, maybe flour, but if it's in the bathroom, it's like no one's cooking, like
it
no one's
was
kitchen.
definitely cocaine, and I definitely just like swept it all on the floor, and it was probably like
And then you forgot, and then you're like, oh my
yeah,
God, and then
yeah,
you got high. Yeah.
yeah. I definitely like washed my hands after.
Been there. I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. No.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just like very ignorant. Anyway, I was like, I gotta get out of here. Now, I don't know how this happened, and this is also goes back to like my last episode about how I've just always had this general sense of like things will work out. And I have
Uh-huh.
no idea how I was able to do this, but I got all of them to like show up, go to the leasing office and sign me off the lease. And so that
Yeah, I was gonna say this is like a pretty gnarly like group that I'm like, it sounds like you did like good for you for being so open-minded, especially knowing like kind of the context you grew up in, like how sheltered and like how foreign all of this would have been,
yeah,
your like prior experience. So like nice job just being open-minded and like okay with people, but man, everyone you described, I'm like, none of those are personalities that I can see even being remotely interesting with you or to you
no,
and or meshing with you.
yeah, no. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, it just, so I got them to sign me off the lease. Now, one
Mhm.
of the things that one of the rules or the things that they wanted to do when we like moved into the complex together is they wanted everything to match. Like they wanted like the vibe of the apartment to be like immaculate. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm a freaking broke college student. My parents
Uh-huh.
literally have no money. I'm not getting like, all I have is like my student loan money in the bank, or what I'm getting from like working jobs. I'm not gonna spend that on like matching furniture, but they were like so dead set on it. We went up to Ventura to go furniture shopping, and I remember breaking down like while we were furniture shopping and just being like, this is the worst decision. Like, I can't, like, I literally can't afford any of this stuff. And the mom basically, one of the moms, she was like fucking psychotic.
Uh-huh.
But she basically was like, it's okay, it's a big change, like it's fine, like once you're in, you'll be okay. We got like a zebra print chaise lounge, like a crazy looking like uh
Was this
coffee
a thrift
table.
store or like a regular
No,
store?
like a regular, we were paying full price for this shit.
Okay, that's not why I was like, listen, it's one thing because I was like, I don't know enough about the LA County to know if going to Ventura means like there's good thrift stores there or if it's like
No,
full price expensive stuff.
this is like
But
full
the
price
fact like
expensive
Zebra
stuff.
and Zebra Chase Lounge screams of like go to a thrift store and get it. So that's also
Yeah.
why I was like, wait, clarify this real
I'm
quick.
glad you clarified, but and I had
Yeah.
no idea like where like this was coming from, but they wanted to get like a deep purple like velvet couch. Like it was just weird. Anyway, I got them to sign me off the lease.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the shitty thing is that I overpaid 2 months of rent. How did I overpay 2 months of rent? Because when for some reason that is beyond me, someone had the idea of like, what if we just pay the full amount once instead of splitting it up, and then that way you don't have to pay another, like you don't have to pay rent again for like 3 more months. So we would just rotate of like who would pay. But since I got them to sign me off after 2 months of living with them and just like it going to up Shit's Creek real quick, um, they overpaid. And when I went to ask them like, hey, give me my money back, they were like, we're not going to give you your money back. And I was like, hell you are. So
Yeah.
I ended up filing a small claims case against them, and
Gee.
being in Los Angeles, all those producers, all like the court TV shows are there. And literally TMZ has like an office at the LA courthouse looking at like all of this stuff for celebrities, but also
Uh-huh.
producers for like Judge Judy and Judge Joe Brown and like all the other court TV shows. They're also looking for drama filled, entertaining
Yeah.
court cases. So Judge Judy was the first kind of producer to reach out, say,
Uh-huh.
we want you on the show.
Okay.
I grew up on Judge Judy. I freaking love Judge Judy. And I was like, yes, I would love Judge Judy. One, because she is very practical. She's very like level-headed. So I'm going with her. Judge Joe Brown also tried to like scoop us up, but I was like, let's just go with Judy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I agreed to it. They agreed to it. We were
I
gonna,
mean, I was gonna say if they went on to be like on reality shows, you know that this is like right up their alley.
yeah. Well, the crazy thing is that for at that time, Judge Judy was paying everyone a $500 appearance fee, and then
Oh.
they would pay the settlement for whatever the settlement was. So for them, it was super enticing.
Yeah, because that's also just practically that's a really good solution to all of this too.
Yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So then Judge Judy like canceled because she was like, it can't be like a 15-minute segment. And I was like, okay, fair. Judge Joe Brown then like went hardcore to try to recruit us. And I was like, I'm not doing Judge Joe Brown. Like it's either Judge Judy or nothing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so then we ended up going just to the small claims court and doing it.
No cameras,
No
boring.
cameras. I know. So boring.
If you're not doing it for cloud, then what are you doing it for?
I
Just
know. It is so true. It is so true. I was like proud of myself though, because it was me.
yeah.
It was just me representing myself. And then it was two of the roommates because I didn't sue Nose Job because she was the first one. She's the one who came up with the idea to pay on that absurd schedule. So she made the first payment and I made the second payment. So um, I sued Ghost and OKC and Ghost Mom because, um, I don't know why she got involved, but she ended up being there too. Um, anyway, OKC got so mad at me in the courtroom that she leaned over the table and started yelling at me
Mhm.
across the courtroom. And I just looked at the judge and was like, see, this is like, do you see this? This is
Mhm.
what I've had to deal with. And luckily he awarded me in my favor. So I got my money back. It was pretty traumatic, But that is when I learned that people pleasing, especially if it's really convenient for the other person and they're trying to use peer pressure to get you to act in the way that they want you to act, never turns out okay.
Wow. Chelsea,
So,
listen, I don't know what the timestamp was on that, but that was a pretty like concise retelling,
thanks.
considering all the moving parts. Wow. Wow. Listen, I just have to say, like, I have so much awe and respect because think of little tiny Chelsea
Yeah,
on her own doing something very different than what like expectations around her would have thought. All of a sudden, jumping into this situation with three people who are wildly different than she is,
yeah,
kind of not speaking up for yourself in the moment because that's something you hadn't really had a lot of practice with. It was also something that you didn't realize like was a thing you needed to do.
yeah.
And it was when you were in the middle of an absolutely bonkers situation that you had like the presence of mind though to be like, there's got to be a way out of it. And besides just being in school, and I mean, where were your like, what did your parents, what was their role in any of this? Did they do anything?
So they were mostly like cheerleaders. They were like, yes, you should get out of it. They literally were like, you got yourself into this, you should get yourself out of it. So there was more of just like emotional support, but like I
Mm,
was the one filing all the court fees, figuring out how to do all of that. Like,
yes.
I think I would like ask them, like I would call them up and say like, hey, this is where I'm at, what should I do? And if it was like a specific request, they would help. But I think it was mostly like just emotional support of like, hey, you got this, you got yourself into this, you could get yourself out of it. And then also I don't think they truly knew how bad it was. Like I
Mm.
wasn't trying to call them and tell them that like my yeah, I'll have to ask them again though. I wonder what they remember of that time and like kind of the role that they played.
Because honestly, man, you were like on your own. Like you, it was like, yeah, you got shoved into the deep end with like bricks on your feet, and you're like, how do I get out? Because
Yeah.
yeah, like maybe your parents didn't realize like the gravity of the situation, but to be that young, to be that inexperienced, but to have that like self-possession and presence of mind and to do all of that, like yeah, like you had to learn something in a very hard way.
Yes.
And
I
gosh,
did.
you had it like, but honestly, just the amount of executive functioning you had to do under that amount of duress for someone with ADHD, that's also like so incredible.
Thank
So
you.
good for you. I honestly have nothing but respect for that because, geez, everything you just said, I'm like, okay. And then you also have to like hold it together and be like, in a court setting, which is always kind of awkward, but also especially like when a roommate's suddenly jumping a table to come at you.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
okay. So honestly, like
Well, thank you.
Judge
Like,
Judy's loss is our gain because that was quite the story.
I mean, I I wish it would have been. I wish Judge Judy would have like had me on just so I could have a record of that time so people could actually like believe it. I think I might even still have like the producer papers of like we want you on the show just because I was such a big fan of Judge Judy. But I
Uh-huh.
think it really did like kind of unlock something in me of like, oh, it kind of took the emotion or like the negative association that I had with like court and like suing people. And it's more like the way that I look at it now is like, say you do everything you possibly can to like in arbitration to like come to a consensus together. And if it doesn't happen, then like you at least have something to be able to leverage or help you show that you like really mean business. And that like if you're not able to like work together, then that's like kind of the last resort. So I think it really just kind of made me grow up really fast
Yeah.
and realize that like okay, if I can handle that, then like I can handle things like taxes and like having more responsibility and being able to like figure out just life on its own. So it kind of, as traumatic as it was, it also taught me a lot of like really good things too.
Well, I was gonna say, like you have honestly, I'm too even impressed with hearing you talk about it now because yeah, it was a hard experience, but you got out of it like the best thing you could get out of it, which was,
Yeah.
wow, this was really hard, but I learned stuff.
Yeah.
And honestly, truthfully, like that's how you get most experience, is you just have to like, or that's how you get most of your wisdom is through experience of just like,
Yeah.
cool. Especially because like for a situation as specific as that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. For real.
How else were you gonna get that, you know?
I
So.
know. Yeah, I definitely wasn't ever thinking like it would turn out like that. There's a lot of other like little things that happened where um it just, yeah, it definitely taught me a lot about like uh being your own advocate, not people pleasing, like pushing on specific topics or specific things, and just being more assertive, which young Chelsea was not very assertive. It was very much like a pushover. So
Well, I was gonna say, honestly, that's something I still have to like work with. Maybe Casey now, who is fully grown and has been living independently for so many years, could do that. But oh man, like baby Casey out on her own for the first time. I
18
feel like I would have,
years.
I feel like I wouldn't have been that brave. So honestly, I'm just
Yeah.
very impressed and like just blown away by how well you navigated that.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot coming from you. But yeah, that was my brush with almost TV fame and almost being able to see greatness. That's why when Amy Poehler on her Good Hang podcast interviewed Judge Judy, I was like, hell yeah. I'm still like the biggest Judge Judy fan. I think she, I like to tell people I channeled my inner Judge Judy through that whole experience and just,
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say what I'm hearing now is that like you would be a good hang with Amy Poehler because you did do an Enneagram. You have that locked and loaded. You do a lot with emotions. She likes emotional work too. So
sure,
she about that, and you also both love Judge Judy.
it's
So
true. It's true. Yeah. Well, with that, case dismissed.
I was gonna go don't, but that's Law and Order.
Law and Order. Yes. Anyway.
Yeah, I was gonna like do a gavel and then do like dun. I'm like, that's not a gavel sound, and that's also Law and Order. All right. Well,
Uh,
court adjourned.
court adjourned.